Ah, Pokemon. Everyone has at least played it once, whether it was the newer generations or the older generations. We have seen them all. We have played them all. We have caught them all? Alright, well, maybe not the last one, but we have at least seen them all or played all the generations. But now it's time for me to rank them from the worst generation to the best generation. Starting off this list, we have Generation 5. Now, I think this is absolutely the worst Pokemon generation ever. Mostly because we have Pokemon that look like this and this. But regardless of that, I think the graphics of this look really great, and it's really cool how they even brought in like a season type thing. How there's winter, fall, spring, summer. I thought that was really cool. Now, myself, I've never actually like fully played through Generation 5. I've played a little bit of it. Honestly, I don't even think I got out of the first time, but I never picked up Gen 5, didn't want to touch it, nothing to do with it. Also, it might kind of say something to Nintendo when they make two games from the same generation. They make a sequel to it. Well, the problem is, with Generation 5, Pokemon Black and White 1, you can only play with the new generation Pokemon. And the new generation Pokemon at the time were kind of sucky, no offense. So that Generation 2, they're like, oh, we're going to continue the story, and we're going to bring in the Pokemon from the previous seasons. Which they should have just done that with Black, White, and Black and White 1 instead of making a sequel. But I guess they want to make a sequel to, extend the storyline. Now, I have heard that Generation 5 story is actually really good, but I just haven't had time to get around to it. Eventually, one of these days, I probably will. But for now, it's definitely going to stay number 6 on my list. Also, another thing to bring up is the whole Reshiram and Zekrom thing, how they fuse into one Pokemon. I didn't get that. I didn't like that. Like, what is this, like fusions with like Dragon Ball Z? I mean, I don't know the story behind them, so I might explain a little bit, but regardless, fusing Pokemon, I don't like the idea of that. I'm gonna, stray away from that. One more thing to note about Generation 5 is that the legendaries in general just weren't really that good. Like, we had the 3 dog things. I don't know what that was. That wasn't really cool. Tornadus, Landorus, I didn't really like them either. It brought in way too many legendaries. We had like 10 legendaries. Like, why do we need that? We only need, 2, 3, maybe 4 at max. Generation 4 actually wasn't too bad of a generation. I remember playing this in my middle school days when the game first came out. Everybody was playing it. It was crazy. I personally had Pearl version, even though I wanted Diamond. One thing I really liked about this generation is how they had the secret bases underground. That was kind of cool, but I wish they brought back this Generation 3 secret bases because they were actually like way cooler than Gen 4 secret bases. But this was a revolutionary game. This was the first time Wi-Fi has really hit us with the Pokemon games. We were able to play online with our friends and trade and battle and this and that and the other thing. We had Wonder Trade for the first time. That was wonderful. We had the step counter that tracked all your steps. We had the new touchscreen interface, which was a whole new thing. But other than that, Gen 4 was kind of forgettable for me. I didn't really like it that much. It wasn't, the game that stuck out for me. Even though I did play it a crap ton, it was pretty fun, but it's not one of my favorite gens. Also, Pokemon Platinum was pretty cool, especially with the distortion one that they added in. That was a really nice touch for them. Generation 4's legendaries also were alright. I mean, we've got Palkia, Dialga, and Giratina, which were pretty cool. Darkrai was pretty cool. Arceus, I absolutely hate and despise Arceus so much. Shaman, like, why are you even considered a legendary? I'm sorry, but like, why are you considered a legendary? You really shouldn't be. Like Manaphy, I guess, is legendary too. Like, why is that legendary? Manaphy and Fion, or whatever her name is, like, you guys shouldn't be legendary either. Like Pokemon was just like, here, everyone's legendary. You're legendary. Here's legendary. Like, no, the 3, like Azelf, like Misprit, and the other one, those I guess were alright. Like, they could have been something, but all the other ones, no. the games that started it all. Pokemon Generation 1. Red, blue, green, and yellow version. Now, I love the first generation games. I really do. They're really cool. I love all the designs for most of the Pokemon were spot on, besides a few here and there, but for the most part, they were really, really good designs. The story was good. It was solid. Like, it was the beginning to Pokemon. We didn't have anything, like this beforehand. There was no, monster catching games before this, really, or none that did the job like this. So, Pokemon Generation 1 did a lot for everybody, and I don't even have enough words to really express how much this game means to everybody. It's the game that started it all. We've got the 3 starters. We got Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur. Nobody forgets those. Even introduced Pikachu, the face of Pokemon. You cannot mention Pokemon without somebody mentioning or saying some sort of connection of Pikachu. But the only downfall of this is that the original Game Boy Color games, I don't know if I'd have enough patience to go back and play through them again because of the such slow pacing. In the Generation 1 games, you never got the running shoes, so you were walking across the whole region of Kanto, which isn't necessarily that bad, but it's just really, really time consuming, and I'm going to spend a lot of hours playing through that again. But Pokemon Generation 1 is taking spot number 3 on my list. I love this game. Pretty sure everybody loves this game in this generation. So with that, I'm going to conclude that. Generation 1 had 2 legendaries. Their games weren't based off of their legendaries. Their games were based off of their starters. So the 2 legendaries are Mew and Mewtwo. Now, unfortunately, I don't believe you can catch Mew in Generation 1, but you can most definitely catch Mewtwo. And Mewtwo was the coolest, most badass Pokemon ever. Like, he was so cool. Nobody topped him for a long time. Like, he was the most badass Pokemon for the longest time. Generation 6, Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. This was another one of those games, just like Generation 1, that completely revolutionized Pokemon. So, this was the first set of games that we actually had a 3D interface. We have 3D models for our characters, we have 3D models for our Pokemon. This blew my mind. This was so cool. I remember when this game was first coming out and everything, it was only a few years ago. Everyone lost their mind. We were like, holy crap, we can move diagonally now? That is insane. Look at all these models for Pokemon. They all look great. And to this day, we're still using those same Pokemon models, especially in Pokemon Go. All the Pokemon Go models are the same ones from the Generation 6 games. So, one thing this generation did that I really liked was the music in it was actually pretty good. I really liked it. But they also like the way that they implemented the 3D was pretty cool. The new angles, the new views, and this, that, and the other thing. Like the new 3D really brought it upon me, and I really enjoyed it. The only thing that I do have to say about it is when you did switch to 3D on, the frame rate dropped a lot, but that doesn't really have much to do anything with it. But also, this was another generation where they brought back more cooler designs. Like, I liked some of the designs for the Pokemon in this one. Some of them weren't that great, but you'll always have the ones that aren't that great. For example, like, Fennekin was such a cool design, but then, like, Chespin and his evolution forms were not so good. But, I like the story in this game. Story wasn't, mind-blowing, but it was something for the time being, and it was pretty cool. I like the story. It wasn't that bad. Generation 2. Now we've got Gold, we've got Silver, and we've got Crystal. So this generation is my second favorite because it merges 2 generations in one. That is amazing. It takes Gen 2, the whole new gen, and Gen 1, the older gen, the gen that started it all, and it brings it all into one game. Now that, to me, is amazing. And then some of the designs were actually, like, brilliant. Like, Chikorita's wasn't that really good, but, Cyndaquils and Froligators and Totodiles, like, those were all, like, cooler designs. Sorry, car was driving by. But those were all the cooler designs, and they had so much to the story. Your rival Silver was so cool and mysterious, like being Giovanni from Generation 1's, you know, his son. Like, this is almost like a direct sequel to Generation 1. And traversing between the two generations was so cool. Like, nobody expected there to be Generation 1. After getting all 8 gym badges and defeating the Elite Four, everyone was like, okay, cool, game over, right? Just kidding, you've got another 8 badges to get and another Elite Four to go through. So a total of 16 badges. That completely blows my mind. Especially in the remakes with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they really nailed it with that one because they brought the models of the Pokemon actually in with you, so you can walk around with your favorite Pokemon. Please, Nintendo, bring that back. We need that feature back. You know, we're I don't think we're gonna get it in Gen 7, but you know, when Gen 8 comes back, please let us walk around with our Pokemon. That is a request from all Pokemon fans around the world. We all just want to walk around with our Pokemon. That's why I'm ranking Generation 2 as my second favorite generation. Generation 2 also kind of nailed it with the legendaries because you had Raikou, Suicune, and Entei, and then you had Ho-Oh and Lugia. We've made it this far. We've ranked all the other generations. There's only one left, guys, and that is Pokemon Emerald, Ruby, and Sapphire, also known as Generation 3. Now you might ask me, why is this my favorite generation? Well, for you to actually get the full explanation of this and why I'm choosing Gen 3 as my favorite Pokemon generation, I'm gonna have you guys watch another video, because the list of stuff that I'm gonna bring up for this is a little too long for this video, because I don't want this little video to go on forever. So I'm just gonna split this up into 2 videos. So I'm gonna make another video on all my favorite all the reasons why I'm choosing Gen 3 as my #1 favorite. So if you like that, it'll be down below in the description. It'll probably be out in a little while, so stay tuned. So you guys are probably wondering, well, didn't Sun and Moon just come out? Where is Sun and Moon on the list? Well, thank you for finishing the video. So for finishing the video, you're gonna get my opinion on Pokemon Sun and Moon and where I would place it in the list. So personally, I think I would place it right after Generation 1. So if this was the 7, if we're counting all 7, I would have done Pokemon Generation 5 is the worst, Generation 4 is next worst, so it'd be Generation 5 would be 7, Generation 4 would be 6, Generation 1 would be 5, and then Generation 7 would be 4th on my list. So the reason why I'm putting it 4th on my list is because, yes, I completed the game and I had fun with it. One thing though is that personally, I know a lot of people really loved it, but I'm not a huge fan of the Pokemon ride thing. Okay, hate to break it to you. And the trials were kind of cool, but also wasn't like a huge fan of it. I kind of liked the linear style of the Pokemon gym leaders and stuff, because when it came to the trials, it just felt like you were just fighting a stronger wild Pokemon. You know, you fought a few wild Pokemon in a row and then a stronger wild Pokemon. Which I'm not like shit talking the trials or anything. Like, I like them, they were fun and everything, but I just prefer having gym leaders specializing in one specific type, and then when you actually go to fight the gym leader, they're strong as fuck. That's just my personal opinion. No big deals. The story was pretty good in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Probably the best story we've seen so far. And the gameplay was pretty fun too, but sometimes I also felt that the scenery and landscapes were almost kind of random. They just wanted to put a little bit of everything in there. Like they put like a farm there on the islands, like a snow mountain, a volcano, which obviously the volcano has to be there, you know, it's like based off of Hawaii. I don't know, it was really hard. I felt like they just tried to add in every type of landscape into Pokemon Sun and Moon, where they kind of really shouldn't have. But I also kind of like seeing how in Pokemon Sun and Moon you're more in depth with the wild and one with the nature, and I think that's how they wanted Pokemon to be in the first place. So I can 100% agree with that. Like, you're more in depth with the nature. There's not a lot of huge cities. There's not giant cars rolling around everywhere. There's not like, you know, it's not a huge heavy populated area. There's not a bunch of crap going on. It's literally just like your Pokemon trainer versus the wild. And that's honestly how they wanted it to be, too. That's personally how I think they wanted it to be. But I love Pokemon Sun and Moon. I just think I would put it fourth on my list. I really, really enjoy it a lot, and it's a super fun game. So that's my thoughts on Pokemon Sun and Moon.
I have osteoporosis.